Hello fellow infotainment enthusiasts, we're going to review the Mercedes MBUX Infotainment, which is the new one. It's got a digital screen here, a nice big digital screen here, and most importantly, this touchpad instead of a rotary wheel. A lot of the new Mercedes are getting it, and the new touchpad is going to be standard for everything in North America. You're not going to be able to get a rotary wheel. So let's dig into it. It's going to be about 20 minutes, I think, of just me rambling about infotainment stuff and showing you everything. Pretty much the stuff I can't show you on the straight pipes because it is kind of boring. So let's start off by going home. All right, this is our Mercedes home screen. We swipe left and right, we see all of our icons, kind of like the old one, which is nice. And then we also have this trackpad, which we can use to go through everything. Along with that, we can also use voice controls. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
90s on 9. And it'll go to my radio station. So we've got that, and if you're connected to the internet, you can actually like search actual things. I think ask it like full out questions. So then if we start off with phone, I'm never going to use phone. Well, I guess it goes to Apple CarPlay, but I just use Apple CarPlay, which connects only through USB-C. Has wireless charging, but still only USB-C, no USB in this car. Then we got navigation, which is nice. It's very smooth. And then it does have augmented reality, so the front camera will show you where to turn and everything, but I never use this built-in navigation because I always just use Apple CarPlay. And by the way, this is a touchscreen now where the old Mercedes used to not be, so it's touchscreen and trackpad. And the trackpad is awful, really hard to use, very distracting while driving, so chances are you'll probably just use it as a touchscreen. But we also have some hard buttons down here as well to help you go to anything you need to on there, and we have hard climate buttons. So after navigation, we've got radio. So we've got satellite radio. It does rewind, you can go to time shift, but you kind of have to slide it now. There's no left and right. And if we try to use our trackpad, as you can see, I'm swiping left, which makes perfect sense to me, and nothing's happening. And me just trying to hit everything while parked is hard enough. So it's pretty much a full out, oh, there it goes. I think you have to click first. Pretty much a full out nightmare. Then I accidentally changed the station. Then we also have tune mix, which that's another problem too. It's hard to land on anything you're trying to swipe to. So we have tune mix, which will, go through a whole bunch of different stations that you can put together. I like this a lot. I think this makes it a lot simpler. You don't have to go through stations while driving. If you don't like music, you can click forward or back. But since this works like trash, you pretty much just use it as a touchscreen, and it's more distracting. Then what we can also do is set, how do I go back? To go through the stations, we can go left and right, and that'll go through pretty much everything, or we can swipe like this, but it takes forever, and trying to use this to do that takes so long, so getting from one channel to the other is really hard. Then if we want to set a favorite here, we just kind of click and hold, and if we want to make that a smart favorite so we can rewind, so it has one of those little clocks next to it, we hold down, add to smart favorite. I've reached the maximum limit of smart favorites, which is 10. That's fine, I'm okay with that because I don't really care about bluegrass anyways. Then if we click here, we've got more satellite radio settings where we can set up our tune mix list, and then we can also scroll all the way down through all the stations and see what's playing. Definitely harder to use than the last one. Totally think they screwed it up here. Let me go back to radio. Then if you want to change all your settings, you got this right there. Alerts and stuff. I think you can change your audio settings here. Your general has other stuff. And then there's a button right here for forward and back on track. So if I click that, here's what happens. It pops up my favorites. So if I'm in the home screen and I click that button, ready for it? Then I can control this left and right. But I initially thought like this would be like left track, right track. There is no left track, right track, or a tuning knob on this at all, so that totally sucks. Then if we go to the right, media, connected to your phone, same thing. Comfort, so that's like ambient lighting and stuff. Brightness, color. We do have multicolor animations, all that stuff. The lights aren't as good as like the E-Class, but they are like kind of cool. But it's nothing like too crazy. Then we also have AMG Track Pace, which sets up, you know, race tracks and everything. You can see, go to all tracks. You can, you know, lay out your own track. You can search tracks. And then we've also got stuff like drag race mode. So once you do a rip or whatever, it'll tell you your 0 to 60 times and all that stuff. And then telemetry for the racetrack as well. Then you can also connect it to your phone and use that on the TrackBase app as a dash cam to kind of look where the whole track, where you're going on the track and everything, and see your times put all together. But we had a hard time trying to figure that out. If it did work, it would be pretty cool, but it was very difficult. And then TrackBase only comes on the AMG models, so even though this is a 43 and doesn't have launch control, you know, you still get TrackBase. Then AMG Performance is pretty much just your, you know, engine, horsepower, torque, all that stuff. Acceleration, stuff that you can't like record and you wouldn't look at while driving. So you pretty much need to use TrackBase, but see, when you rev it, you get your horsepower and torque, engine consumption, all that stuff. I click back. And Mercedes apps, I guess that's if you have the app on your phone and you want to like warm up your car in advance, but I don't do that because it's a press car. And then settings, for vehicle settings, the first page is quick access, so you can turn off your parking assist, your lane keep assist, raising the vehicle, head-up display, lane keep. The important stuff is on the first screen, which makes it pretty convenient. And then we've got assistance, you know, more of that stuff that you can customize, how early everything comes on, vehicle, belt adjustment, you know, like stuff that you need to customize in your vehicle, like if you want the car to honk when you close it or not, or if you want the lights to stay on. Pretty much all that. And then the operator's manual, you can search everything here. And then also in this thing, let's see if we go to assistance, vehicle. If you click and drag, you can drag around the car, pinch to zoom. It is pretty cool, kind of useless, but definitely a nice gimmick. And then below that, we've got these little buttons, which are shortcut buttons. I guess it shows what you used recently to make it easier. Personally, I just think it's more junk and more distracting. And if we go down, we have our themes. So say we are going on a trip or lounge. So when you click that, it's going to change this to a more chill gauge setup and then put on the radio. So if you look at that, okay, I guess lounge didn't change that. Let me go to home. Pretty much you can set it up to stand, yeah, see it change stuff. And then if I go to the track one, it'll put me into sport mode as well. You can see right here. And throw up my TrackBase app. So what you really want to do is customize it the way you want. I think it's really good for off-roading because then it throws up all your off-road stuff and changes your head-up display. But I'll just put it back to the one that I made where it's sport mode. I actually kind of just want it in comfort. Perfect. Then below that we also have favorites, which you can kind of just do whatever, you know, set up assistant TrackBase, whatever you use a lot, like your ambient light, or if you had seat massages, that's pretty good too. You can also set radio stations there. So if you go to your radio, say I want Faction Punk, I'll hold this down and then I can just save that as a favorite. Then if I go home, I'm gonna have, oh, well, it should end up right here, unless maybe I already have it here. Yeah, I already have it saved from earlier. Cool. Next thing I want to go over is the 360 and reverse camera. So we've got that right here. If I click it, it is very high res. We've got the front camera and 360. Side cameras for parking, which is good for getting in the spots, but what I don't like is you can't make one of these full screen. Oops. So sometimes when I'm backing up parallel parking, I just want this so I know when my wheel's going to hit or not. But I can't, so I gotta like really look at the small little image. So that part kind of sucks, but it is high res and pretty accurate. So no real complaints. Reverse camera, reverse and 360, and the trailer hitch camera. So all the reverse camera stuff is good. You can turn off the beeping here, and then if you click this car button, say you're going through a car wash or something, the parking assist keeps beeping, you can also turn that off right there. Okay, let's go back to home. By the way, I hate this trackpad. I've been trying to use it a lot. It's totally a pain and very distracting while driving. I don't know how many times I'm gonna bring it up, but it kind of sucks. Then Apple CarPlay. So we only have USB-C, that's plugged in already, and it shows up here. We click that. It's not full widescreen, it's just the small screen. Then when you click Google Maps, you can move it around, but you can't pinch to zoom. If you want to zoom, you need to click this here and do this. And if you're trying to use it with the trackpad, there's no haptic feedback, so you're just kind of guessing. It's pretty much everything to do with this is a road hazard, so I would just be very careful. And clicking back, you can go here down to Mercedes, and Apple CarPlay is always up there. So if I'm in, let's see, radio mode or whatever, I'll click home, and then up, and then left, which is more buttons than the old one used to be. And then I can always just click this telephone button, and then I'm in phone, and then I can click whichever one. Lots of extra buttons, kind of bad design, I think, but nothing you can do about it. Then we also have these hard buttons here. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So it's your telephone, navigation, radio, the car, and star. The star will go right to your favorites. So they're trying to add shortcuts, but they're not doing a great job of it. Then we've also got our climate stuff right here. So if I change my temperature, it shows up in the bottom left. If I change my fan speed, it also shows up in the middle where the air is going. And then if I click this menu button right here, then we got our full climate right there. So it's nice that it all shows up. I don't really like this. I kind of like knobs more, but it all does work. Then, with all that out of the way, let's move on to the gauges. So first thing is, we have 3 different gauge styles. So Super Sport, which is the tack all the way around. We've got our Speedo in the middle, and then if we put it to drive, we've got our gear there. Then if we go down, we have Sport, which will be 2 yellow bubbles. And if we go down to Classic, we've got Classic, which is the blue one. And then if we go left or right with this, we have to control that with this right here. We can change what shows up there. Sport, let's see, we can change it, same thing. And then if we go to Super Sport, which is the best one, we click to the right, and then we can change what shows up there. We are ripping it, and in manual mode, and it's time to shift. Everything on the side flashes red. It won't let you rev past like 3.5 when you're stopped, but it is pretty cool when you're driving and enjoying it, because this does do a lot of exhaust crackling and pop, and it's actually a ton of fun to shift and drive this thing and just blast it under tunnels. Then if we click this home button, anything you click here will show up in your left. So like radio will show your radio station.
Of over 300,000.
Navigation, show map stuff. Trip, I like to keep it on trip just because it's like that simple yellow line across both, and I kind of don't really need to see anything. AMG Performance, you get your horsepower and your torque and all that stuff. Driving assistance, which will show, if you're using lane keep and everything, but it'll also show up no matter what when you turn it on, so I wouldn't really worry about it. So I just kind of leave it in trip. Then we've got a head-up display, which you can see, and there's a bunch of different modes we can do. We need to adjust it through here. So if I click this button again, go to head-up display, and then on the left we can see what kind of content we display. So we've got this, which is cool because it shows your lap time and everything, and your sector time while you're racing. Then we've got this one for like the streets and everything, and your speed limit and your navigation. And what's cool is if you put it into forced manual mode, you'll get another shift light above everything, and that'll light up while driving. And then you'll also see what gear is in front and behind you, so that it's easier to, I guess, keep track where you are. But I kind of just keep it in this mode just to keep it really simple. And I'm sure if I did track this, I would use this one so that I do have my timing and sector times and everything. And since this is the new Mercedes Infotainment, we do have this new steering wheel with the controls for your drive modes there, and all that stuff shows up right here. And then if we want to go to individual, we can click right here or go through the trackpad to customize that however we want. Then here, yeah, you can click down to go to individual, or you can turn it. So say I'm in comfort and I want to go to individual, I just click once. So that makes it really easy. And say I want to customize my suspension or my exhaust, I can just click this to toggle on or off, or what type of suspension. And then say I don't need suspension, I'm fine with whatever they give me, I can click this and change it to like my gears, auto start stop, traction, stuff like that. So these are customizable as well, which makes it very cool. So overall, the MBUX system is cool. It's definitely impressive. Being able to talk to the car is fun, but using this trackpad is a total nightmare. I think it's a total road hazard while driving. I don't like it one bit. I want them to go back to the old rotary knob or have an option, but maybe this is just a temporary phase where they put in a trackpad and then in 2 years or 3 years, they're not gonna have any trackpads at all and it's all gonna be touchscreen, just like Audi. So maybe it's not the worst thing, but right now, I'm not a super fan, but that's pretty much everything you need to know about the infotainment of the new MBUX. Probably too boring for a straight pipes video. I'm not even sure if you guys want to watch a deep dive into the MBUX infotainment, but there it is. I hope you like it. Let me know if there's anything I missed or I should talk about next time with infotainments, because I do like infotainments even though a lot of people find them boring. Let me know how that was.